that Jesus has laid a strong and profound teaching on Tiffany's heart, and I'm just so pumped for you guys to hear it. But before we head into that, we're going to mix stuff up a little bit, and we're going to have some fun. So who wants to get crazy? Yeah! All right, now who wants to play a game? Y'all, I am so excited for this game. So we have pre-selected 4 volunteers, we have 4 girls, and we have 4 boys. So I'm going to call out the girls first. I need Lydia up here. I need Carmen up in here. Jenna and Savannah. Up on the stage. And then for our 4 boys, I need Keith the Hammer. I need Christian P. I need Austin. And who else am I missing? And I need Hunter. Where's Hunter? Alright, so have y'all ever played leg wrestling? No, okay. Alright, so I'm going to have Christian and Christian demonstrate how to play. Y'all can. Alright, so basically, y'all are going to lay down on the floor and make sure to lock elbows with your partner. Alright, now I'm going to count down to 5. When I count down to 3 is when you guys are going to start, okay? No, yeah. On 5, on 3, we start the game, okay? Help me count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, okay, basically, you win if you, like, say, throw the other person over. Let's say Christian did a front flip, it was a side flip, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to start off with the girls. We're going to have Savannah and Jenna first. All right. So help me count down from 5. Ready, y'all? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, I'm gonna give that one to Savannah. Okay? Savannah, you stay up here. Now next we're gonna have Lydia and Carmen. I'm excited. There's a reason I picked you guys too. There's a height difference. I thought it was gonna be fun. Okay, lock elbows. Elbows, arms, whatever you want to call it. All right, y'all. Count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much for participating in this. It was hilarious watching you guys fail and succeed. But without we move on to other things, we're going to jump into announcements. So I have a couple announcements for you guys. The first one is for our Y1s. We have a makeup systematic theology session on Wednesday after devotionals in room 301 at 9 a.m. The reason being is that y'all ask too many questions in this class, so we never get to go anywhere. It's okay though, we're good. Our second announcement is for our one-on-ones. I apologize. We're having our first one-on-ones next week on Thursday. The cool thing about Thursday is that we're not going to have any classes. We love classes, Pastor Danny. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. We have no classes on Thursday. You are going to get an appointment time with Paige and Pastor Danny, and this one-on-one is basically talking about finances, improvements that you can make. They're just going to pour out knowledge and wisdom to you guys, and I really can't wait till you guys experience that. Our next announcement, today we're actually supposed to have concentrations for our Y1s. This is only you guys. But we have our Pastor David couldn't make it today because he's doing a conference in another state. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a systematic theology study block. So we're going to be able to catch up on videos and study for our midterms on Thursday. That's exciting. And our last announcement, and I'm super excited, is our Race for Hope coming up October 12th. So pumped. This is my first one. I'm probably not even going to run it because I'm lazy, but we do know that Austin is going to run it because he never gives up. Please make sure to connect yourself with Pastor Jim Gates. He's going to tell you the position that you're going to be in, the time that you have to be there. And talking about people that don't give up, I have the privilege and the honor of welcoming Tiffany Johnson to this stage. I'm so excited. She has a lot of wisdom for you guys.
Y2s. We almost made it through midterm, so let's pat ourselves on the back. We have one more tomorrow, so we got this. But I feel like, so I also wanted to say that it's crazy how God works, because last year I dreaded speaking. Like, I dreaded this day. Like, I came back from Honduras and I was like, I have to speak tomorrow. But today, I'm actually looking forward to it. So I'm excited for what God has placed in my heart to share with you guys. So first, Donovan, real quick, he can go ahead and you can guys see my lovely, good quality pictures from my illustration. So I know, top notch. Long story, but those are my illustrations. So yeah. So okay, so I know this is really random, but so does anyone know? Okay, so you see that little pocket, like not the big pocket, but the tiny pocket. Does anyone know what that's for?
Name badges.
No, it's not name badges. It's actually in the 1800s, just kind of like a long time ago. We don't use it for this to this day because we have phones. But they actually were for like when people worked and stuff. They had little mini pocket watches and they put it in the pocket. So that was kind of like a mind blowing like. I had no idea. So Donovan, you can go ahead and move on to the next picture. So the next picture is like that little gas gauge that you see above your car. Did anyone in this room, did anyone know that the arrow pointed to which side?
Yes.
Like, okay, because I was in the car with my dad, and he was like, he asked me, he drove my car for me, and he was like, which side is your gas tank on? And I was like, and I told him that, I was like, I thought I was the only person who knew that, so I felt really smart. but a lot of people really don't know that. But so the next thing, you gotta move to the next picture, Donovan. Okay, so this is kind of like really weird, but does anyone know what that little mini hole thing is for? Yeah, see, some of you guys know. See, I did not know that. It's actually to measure your serving size for, say, if you're eating pasta for one person. Yeah, I know, Hannah, I was mind blown too. But, so it kind of helps you measure how much, like, pasta you eat, so you just don't eat a lot of pasta. Because pasta is so good. But you guys, I had no idea that was actually a thing. Yeah, I know, I was so shook. But and then the next picture is a shopping cart. And you see that little hook, like that little mini hook that you think that I thought you would hang like a scarf or like something, whatever you need. No, that little hook, like You see what I'm
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, exactly. It's actually to hang your bread and your valuable items, the ones that you don't want to break. I worked at Publix for 2 years and I did not know that until last week. So yeah. But the reason I showed you these really random pictures is because, see, honestly, if you look at an item and you don't know the purpose of it, you won't be able to use it. And I feel like whenever we walk with God and God calls us to certain things, if we don't seek after our purpose, God won't be able to effectively use us for what He's called us to do. And so today it's kind of an ironic topic that I'm speaking on purpose pressure, because it's we just got in terms. It's our first trimester, so everyone's a little overwhelmed. I know I am. And I'm not the only person who can say that. No offense, guys, but I can see all you guys just look stressed sometimes. And I'm I feel you. So, except for Christian Mason, because he doesn't worry about anything. The first thing to understanding purpose pressure is to define your purpose. And for me, you guys know that I do worship, and I can say after a long shift at Forever 21, I get off at 11 o'clock. The last thing I want to do is sleep for 3 hours, wake up at 4:30, and start my day that early. I can easily say that it's really hard for me. I'll hit snooze a couple times. It's a miracle that I made it to church yesterday because I was so tired. And I can easily say that sometimes, as Pastor Danny tells us, that it's not good for the worship concentration or any person to be a green room preacher. And I feel sometimes it's so much easier for me to sit in the green room and just get on Instagram and not talk to anyone, because I used to do that. But also, I feel I get in this this cycle of okay, because I'm very much so a taskmaster, and I'm very much so one of those people. I'm very type A. If it's on my to-do list, I will get it done. And if it's not, then I will forget. And I feel in times like that, whenever I get so focused on the task, I forget my actual purpose. I can go, it's so easy for me to wake up on a Sunday, turn on Ableton, do all the things I'm supposed to do, and then just go on with my day and not even faze me that I haven't talked to anyone. And so, but I feel in moments like that, because it's not just worship concentration students, it's all of us. We're all guilty of going through the motions and just going to church and doing the thing and doing the ministry school thing. But also, I feel if we knew our purpose and we constantly had this drilled into our brain, that we're not just supposed to do the task. We're supposed to be able to, what it says in Matthew 28:19, this is something that I've always, this is a verse that I've always heard my whole life, but I don't think it really sunk in until this year. It says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." And so I feel that's basically sums up our purpose. We are called to make disciples. We are called to build people. We're called to minister to people. We're not, like I said, we're not just called to do the task. Because at the end of the day, are we really doing ministry if we're just checking off the boxes and not relating to people and ministering to people? And so I feel if this becomes our focus, then we'll get it. I feel if we can constantly remind ourselves, I need to meet people, I need to love on people. And even going off of Matthew 22, verses 37 through 40, it says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength." And also, it goes on, it talks about love your neighbor as thyself. Because the first and foremost thing that we're called to do, our main purpose, is for one, to build the kingdom of God. It's to worship God. And to all these things go into worshiping, loving people, serving His kingdom. But we cannot do those things unless we know our purpose. We cannot do those things unless we know exactly the end goal, our vision. And I feel that's something that I'm completely convicted of, because, like I said, it's so easy for me just to do the thing and not even think about why I'm doing it. And I feel that's something that really God has truly placed in my heart lately. And so the first practical step to defining what our purpose is just to really just focus on the vision that God has for us, to focus on why we're doing that. But in order to have that mindset, we must know the knowledge behind it. So that's as if we were just speaking God's word over and over in our lives, just reminding ourselves of the vision. And so to know your purpose is one thing, but to fight for the very thing that you're called for is another. Because who can tell, raise your hand if you've ever been overwhelmed since the school year started. Every person in this room can raise their hand, and I'm raising my hand too because, gosh, it's been quite the year. And but I can say that once you define your purpose and once you step into your calling, immediately that means oh crap, they know what God has for them, and now they're going to go try to chase the kingdom. They're going to try to build the kingdom. So he starts throwing these things at us. He starts throwing these trials, like, for example, or these horrible things. For example, car problems, financial problems, like all these things that we're all going through that I've heard from many people in this room. I feel like we've all been really, especially first trimester, I feel like there's just so much spiritual attack because you're stepping in, you're learning how to fight the fight. But then at the end of the day, like, we're called to do this. We're called to this life of ministry. So that's just one of those things that we have to fight for our purpose. And I kind of read this on the internet. It just kind of blew my mind. So in 107 BC, Roman general Gaius Marius decided his logistics tail was slowing down the legions. So he ordered soldiers to carry all their own gear. So think about it. A long time ago, this Roman soldier, they were going to battle, and this Roman soldier was like, man, our progress is not good, so I'm just going to make all the men carry their own weight. So I kind of looked further research on how much they had to carry, and so I'm going to read to you what they had to carry. And so it says the load included up to a fortnight of rations, a saw, a wicker basket, a shovel, a water skin, a sickle, and a pickaxe, as well as weapons, armor, and a shield. So that's a lot of stuff, and I know I said it really fast, but I don't really know what half of those things are, but I'm just assuming that they're pretty heavy, because all that added up together weighed about 80 pounds, and not only was it 80 pounds, they had to walk 20 miles. And I can barely walk 200 meters with like 40 pounds of weight. It's a CrossFit. Like that's a struggle to me. So I can't imagine having to like walk 20 miles with 80 pounds on my back. And then actually in 2016, a Marine Corps Times reported a new standard strength for endurance. An average Marine Corps infantry officer should be physically able to carry 152 pounds for 9 miles. And that's even more than it was a long time ago. And it just blows my mind, because sometimes they can even carry up to 200 pounds. And then it made me think, like, how on earth do they even like get to the place where they can just comfortably just do that and walk that and just fight the fight and just like, I don't think I'll ever be that strong. And then it hit me. I was like, so what kind of like preparation do they do? But that's why boot camp is important, because they have to go through the training, because if you don't go through boot camp, you're never going to get the muscle that you need to fight the fight. And if you think about it, the first few weeks of boot camp, and I feel like Lydia, you've been to boot camp before, and like Dave, I'm sure, like, so I can say that I'm sure that it's not the easiest first few weeks, is it? No, it's really tough, because for one, I've never been through it, but I've had friends who've told me that they said the first few weeks is terrible because you're learning all these new habits, you're getting all this strength, it's a lot different, and so I feel like that's exactly, made me realize how important boot camp is. But I feel like a lot of us are kind of in the boot camp season of our life. Like, we all kind of started, like, for me, I'm a Y2, but let me tell you, I still feel like I'm in boot camp, because I feel like my first year was hard. Just add, like, 6 responsibilities that I get to do on top of that. and honestly, like, I feel like I'm kind of crawling right now with a bunch of stuff on my back. But then, I'm not even gonna lie to you, like, I talked to some alumni, I talked to like Chad and Kate. I remember having like a complete mental breakdown, like the second week of school. And I was like, guys, just please tell me that's gonna get easier. And then they were like, sorry, we can't, it's not gonna get easier. And so, and then Pastor Danny always tells us that you should never pray for your load to get lighter, but your shoulders to broaden and you'll get stronger. And that's something that really I constantly am reminding myself, like, it's not gonna get easier, my responsibilities are not gonna go away. They're gonna be there, but at the same time, it's like we're gaining muscle. And I feel like right now we're at the beginning of that, like, boot camp, like, getting in the rhythm of things. Like, a lot of you guys, I don't know everyone's background, but some of us went for me and Heather we did virtual school. I sat in a coffee shop all day. It was so nice. I went shopping, I did whatever I wanted to, and I did my work whenever I wanted to. So for me to go from shopping and living my best life to like waking up like at 5 o'clock every day and getting to do all these responsibilities and like having super early call times, it was really hard for me. And I feel like some of us have never experienced study habits, and like there's just a lot of things that you have to learn when you start studying at college. And so I feel like a lot of us, and not on top of that, like, I completely understand like why we're all stressed, because we're not just carrying the weight of our finances, which some of you guys, like, I have mad respect for people who pay for their finances and go to see college. Like, that's just incredible to me. And like on top of that, you have classes, you have course projects, midterms, finals, and then you have things like this where you get to speak, and then you have like Sundays. It's like we have a full schedule. And on top of that, we have the weight of someone's eternity on our shoulders, because we're also ministry leaders. So it's not like we're just like a part of ministry. Like a lot of us lead ministries. So it's just like all these things, and it's like we have so many reasons why we should be overwhelmed. But I feel like in this season of our life, we shouldn't just feel like we're broken, because I feel like a lot of people in this room, feel like they're breaking, they're at their breaking point, but I feel like a lot of people in this room are also super close to breakthrough, because I feel like so many people get so overwhelmed by all the things that they're going through, and then they look at God, because I did, I looked at God and I was like, did you really call me to this? Like, is this really what you have for me? Like, I remember just like talking to Jen. I was like, did I make the right decision? Like this, and then she was like, yes, Tiffany, shut up. And so I feel like we are all, like I said, we're all in this big camp season, and it's really cool to think that like I said, like last year, like I would have dreaded speaking. Like I woke up last year and I was just like literally having a panic attack, because I was like, I have to speak in front of all these people, and like for me to like come this year, and I can tell that like. I feel like I can attest that there's so much growth that happens between your Y1 and Y2 year. But the thing is, especially when you're focused and fighting the darkness, the enemy will throw whatever he can. Like literally as soon as you're walking your calling, I feel like my mom always told me, she was like, whenever you're being spiritually taxed, that means you're probably the closest to God that you have ever been, because the enemy is like, oh man, this person is seeking after God. This person is under God's protection. This person is doing exactly what God has called them to do. But I can't let that happen. So that's why all these bullets get like thrown at us, because like I said, so now when you enter student college, you're like walking, and all of a sudden you get all this weight on you. On top of that, you're dodging bullets of the enemy, and so it's like all these things, and you feel like you're kind of getting beat down a little bit. But like I can say that ministry's tough, and stepping into your calling is tougher. But we have to understand why we fight this fight, because the pressure is definitely necessary. Like I feel like this pressure that we have on us. Like, you have no idea, like, honestly, there's so much pressure on you, right? You may feel like there's a lot of pressure on you right now, but you have no idea what God's preparing you for. Like, some of you guys are going to plant churches. Some of you guys are going to be worship leaders at a mega church. Some of you guys are going to be worship leaders in a different country. Some people are going to be completely missions-minded. Like, you have no idea the things that you're going through that God is preparing you for battle for. Because, like I said, we're in this boot camp season. Like, God is preparing you for a certain fight, and everyone's is different. And I know mine was completely different from Jenna's, or like Heather, even the people I'm closest to. Ours are completely different. And so, yeah, it's not even my notes, but I feel like we just don't need to compare like our fights to each other. But anyways, so and so like a verse that seems to be like a recurring theme in my life is James 1:2-4. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like I tell people this all the time, when God's speaking to me, he says it over and over, because I just don't take hints well. So I feel like that's why I hear the same verses over and over. And so it says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. You know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete and lacking nothing. So I love where it says, count it all joy, my brothers, because it doesn't say complain, my brothers. It doesn't say give up, my brothers. It says count it all joy. And I know it's easier said than done. Like when your car breaks down, or like your money didn't come in the way you thought, or whatever it is, or someone in your family's sick, or like the way you planned your life is not the way it looks. Like it's hard to find, like I get that, and I'm like right there with you. I complain, it's so easy for me to complain, but I'm preaching to myself too. It's because God wants us to count it all joy, because we have to have the mindset of like, there's a reason that pressure is on us, and like there's going to be an outcome out of this. Because sometimes you have to go through things, like sometimes before you get to the top of the mountain, you have to climb a little bit. And so after that, it's all downhill from there. What if you are like literally at the top of the mountain and you just gave up? Yeah. Like, and you have no idea all the good things that God has for you. And so actually, one of my favorite speakers kind of used this illustration, and ever since I've heard it, I can like promise you guys that it's literally changed my perspective on everything. So we have some Florida people in the room. So wow, we actually have like 4. Oh my gosh, didn't realize that. But anyways, so as we know, Florida is known for their oranges, and a lot of oranges are shipped from Florida, and so we all know that. And the reason they're known for their oranges is because they're super sweet, and that kind of made me think. So like, why are they super sweet? Like, why is it Florida? Like, out of all the states, and so it says that this article that I also read says that In many different parts of Florida, there are tropical storms, and certain trees go faster than others. But the trees that grow the fastest and the deepest grow when there's pressure on them because they sense the storm, because nature is so cool. They sense the storm coming, and as the storm's coming, there's pressure on their life, and then easily their roots get deeper and deeper and deeper. And the cool thing is, the deeper the root, the sweeter the fruit. And I feel like there's some people in this room that maybe God is putting this pressure on you because he has some fruit that needs to be sweetened. Like maybe you just got the fruit, and maybe you're just going through life and you just started this ministry thing and God has placed some fruit, but what if God's trying to tweak that and make it sweeter for your future ministry? Like what if God is trying to grow you from something or get you prepared for something and you may not even have any idea. Like this thing could be 10 years from now. You have no idea what God has for you. And the cool thing is that the article even said that the farmers were very thankful for tropical storms. And that kind of changed my perspective because I was like, well, that made me realize, like, I should be thankful for tropical storms. Yes, it sucks. It's uncomfortable. It hurts. You're kind of scared that your roots are going to get thrown around a little bit. It's just pretty scary. But at the same time, like, we serve a God, and we know, and we can be close to a God who's greater than any of our storms, who's greater than any of our battles, who will keep us rooted. All we have to do is meet him where he is. And that's just, it's super cool to me to think that these farmers are so thankful for these tropical storms. Which points us back to James, like I said, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. It says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials." And so I feel like if we go into ministry or go into our life with this mindset of like, okay, God, like instead of being like, oh my gosh, my life sucks, I have so many projects due, should I pick midterms or course projects or finals, like what should I do? Because we've all been there. Instead of thinking like that, I think we need to go into it with a mindset of like, okay, God, you brought me here. What are you trying to teach me? What is the lesson? What is the ministry that you're going to prepare me for? Honestly, take it as an honor when your life is falling apart, because that means because the devil is really trying to work at you because he's that much afraid of you. He's that afraid of you where he wants to tear everything down that God has built inside of you. And I can say that this is literally, it's so funny that I'm like preaching this because last week was so stressful for me. Savannah and Austin, we spent all week together. And so we were literally studying. And then that made me realize, like, even in the most stressful situations, whether it's like some serious life stuff, or if it's just like a midterm or final, like God is preparing you. Like even midterms, like studying is important because you never know when a youth student's gonna ask you a question that you don't know how to answer, or even a college student of you. Like you never know, but that's just like my little rant. But anyways, I feel like all of us are in different, like I said, all of us are in different seasons, but I can say collectively we're all, like I said, going back to the boot camp thing, that we're all in this training season, and I feel like we're literally just at the beginning of what God has for us. So I feel like it's that much worth it. Like I feel like we have to fight this fight. Like I said before, like we have to know our purpose. Like it is so important that we know our purpose. And Donovan, you can go ahead and start playing the music. It's so important that we know our purpose because if we don't know our purpose, God can never use us. And then on top of that, we have to fight for a purpose because it's worth fighting for. Because the enemy, like you wouldn't have to fight if you weren't being attacked, and the enemy is going to attack you. And that's just also part of this life that we're called to live. And then lastly, don't forget, we feel like it's important that we need to know that the pressure is necessary. Like without this pressure, we would not be able to do the things that we're called to do. Like it's one of those things where it's like, man, like this sucks, but I'm like, it's also like one of the coolest things ever. And I can say like and as a Y2 speaking to Y1s, I can say that like it doesn't get easier. The Y2 year is harder. I'm just gonna put it out there. But at the same time, it's one of the greatest things that you can do because there's so many things that God's preparing you for, and it just makes me excited to see where all you guys are gonna end up. But real quick, if everyone would just close their eyes. So as I close this out, I just wanted everyone just take inventory of yourself. And as you do this, just kind of ask the Holy Spirit to like really just speak to your life. So like some of you guys in this room, you guys need your purpose defined. Some of you guys in this room, you've drifted away from who God's called you to be. Some of you guys have drifted away from that first love. Some of you guys haven't. It's been a while since you really just pondered on what exactly God has for you. Or some of us just need a heart check. And or some of us in this room also, we just need strength to fight the fight because it's rough. It's been rough. And I feel like there's also some people in this room that that just need to be refreshed. Refreshed because of be refreshed because of all the pressure that's been put on them. But whatever it is, I just pray, like, my prayer to you guys in this moment, and as you're taking inventory of yourself, and as you're seeking God in this moment, just really just allow the Holy Spirit to just speak to you in what area you need to grow. Because it's amazing, all you have to do is ask the Holy Spirit, and it's amazing all the fruit and the goodness that can come from just meeting God where He is. See it?
Can we just give it up again for Tiffany, please? She's been amazing. And I love that. I think we can each take something out of that. And as she says, we're all dealing with pressure. This start it's been a rough start. And I think everyone can say that. And she's saying that when we are under pressure, that is when God grows us more. When we are under pressure, that is when God's like, okay, I will put you rooted in something because you will need that strength in the future. So I'm proud of you, Tiffany. You did amazing. So I hope you guys just like meditate on that and just let it all sink in, because what she's saying and what God's trying to speak to her is because you guys need it right now. And there's a lot of you guys that need it, and you just have to hear it. So again, thank you, Tiffany. And I'm going to dismiss you guys. We have lunch right now, and then we have ministry disciplines at 1 p.m. So y'all have fun.